Hey, what's up guys? It's Trim here. I wanted to go ahead today and bring you a new video on the new Eldlich deck. I know a lot of you guys have seen this floating around, and this is my take on the deck. I think that it pairs the best with the Zombie World version because Zombie World and Rivalry still wreck the metagame. I don't think the Floodgate version with, like, there can be only one and stuff is all that good because it also prevents you from summoning your trap monsters. But I think the Eldlich cards are a perfect complement to the Zombie World strategy. And so I'm going to go through the deck. It is a very expensive deck. I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. There really is no budget version of this deck because Eldlich the Golden Lord is just crazy right now. I just happened to pick mine up for way cheaper. And the Pot of Extravagances are... there's no substitute for that. I mean, the only substitute I can think of is Magician's Souls, which is just about as expensive as Pot. So you might as well just play the Pot of Extravagance build because it's just free in this deck. You don't need your extra deck whatsoever.
Okay, and keep in mind, guys, what makes this deck so good is the fact that it's really unaffected by almost all the power cards out there. So things like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm, they're going to get met with your Omni Negate. So those really will never connect unless they have multiple. Nibiru does nothing. I mean, I guess if Dark Ruler goes off, it can stop, like, Doom King, but it doesn't stop any of the traps. So you're relatively unaffected by any of these cards that just shut down games. Summon Limit does nothing. Yeah, so that's what makes this deck good, is it's things that just shut down other decks don't do anything to this deck. And I think that's what makes this deck really, really scary in the game right now.
Alright, to kick things off, we run double Eldlich the Golden Lord. This card is absolutely ridiculous. So the goal of this deck is a little bit different than your standard zombie control, but you basically want to turbo him out as fast as you can. Doom King you can usually get out on the next turn, on your opponent's turn, but the ideal thing is to get him out on the board first. That turns on all your back row interruptions, all your trap cards. They all depend on him being on the field, so he needs to be on the field as soon as possible. He has an effect where you can also, if you play second, you can send a trap or spell card from your hand to the grave. Then you can send another one to the grave and special summon him at 3,500 attack and 3,800 defense, and he gains that until the end of your opponent's turn, and he becomes immune to destruction, and that is really cool. A lot of people don't know about that, like when you play online and stuff. But I've been testing this deck online, and it's ridiculous. Eldlich the Golden Lord is an amazing card. It's good for removal of problem cards. It's a non-destruction removal. It sends cards to the grave instead of destroys them. The only downside with him is, like, unlike Doom King, it does target. It basically helps you get your recycle ability with your spells and traps just rolling, and once those start, this deck snowballs so hard. And it just becomes impossible for your opponent to keep up with you. The amount of resources you'll generate is unlike any deck I've played. Next we do double Doom King Balladrock. You guys all know Doom King. I think he's been in every deck profile I've ever made because Doom King Balladrock is just a walking double interruption. It doesn't target, negate, banish, gets rid of problem cards. Like, there's just so much application for Doom King Balladrock that it needs to be in this deck. You can run it at 1 if you want, but, like, if it gets banished, you're kind of shit out of luck, so I run 2, because Called by the Grave is a problem for this deck. It does hurt this deck quite a bit. So 2 Doom King, I think, is the way to go. Next we run 2 Ash Blossom, because it's very important to have that interaction on your opponent's turn. You want to stop them from getting into their plays. That's all of what this deck is about. It's a lot more control-focused than the standard Zombie World deck ever was, and that's what I love about this deck, is it finally gives you the option to play control properly. Then next we have Double Necroworld Banshee. A lot of people I see playing this build are doing it at 1, but it comes up a lot where you need that second one because they sometimes can remove Zombie World, like if they Cosmic Cyclone you and you don't have your Omni Negates up. It comes up in a grind game, so like I would not cut this to any less than 2. I think that it's very important to have Double Necroworld. Next, this is the card that I think adds a lot more consistency to this version of the deck. A lot of the pure builds obviously aren't playing Unizombie. The only monsters they play are Eldlich the Golden Lord. But Unizombie just allows you to discard Eldlich if it's in your hand. It allows you to discard it to the grave if it's not. You could just send it straight from your deck. Unizombie just adds a lot of much needed utility to this deck, and I would highly recommend Unizombie. It's easily the best zombie play starter in the game. Next, we're going to get into the spells. We only run 1 Elixir of White Destiny, just because it's not as good as the other elixirs. It allows you to special summon from your hand or graveyard, but it doesn't allow you to special summon directly from the deck. Now, all these elixirs have a secondary effect that basically, when they're in the grave, you can banish them from your grave to set a Golden Land spell or trap directly from the deck. And that is an amazing ability because that just allows you to plus and keep plussing. Now, the downside is you can only use 1 effect per turn, so you can't use them both. Like, you can't use it to special a monster from your hand or graveyard and then also use its graveyard effect on the same turn. So you'll have to wait till the next turn if you've used it, to summon something. But it sets you up a lot. Like, if they break your board, it is so easy to recover because of that. Next, triple Zombie World, because like I said, in a grind game, it does come up. Trust me, I would not run it at 2. I would not run it at 1. It comes up in a grind game. You will want it at 3. I've gone through games where I've gone through all 3 copies, and in this version, it doesn't end the game because you're not as reliant on Doom King, but it is a blow to the deck, so definitely run it at 3. Alright, and here's an expensive one. I told you that this card is mandatory in the deck, is Triple Pot of Extravagance. It's just so free in this deck, guys. Like, you don't need your extra deck whatsoever, so if you're not running Pot of Extravagance, I don't know if I'd even play Eldlich, quite honestly. This card will get cheaper. It is confirmed to be reprinted soon. The prices have already been dropping, especially since there's no actual tournaments because of Corona. But this card just lets you banish 6 cards from your extra deck, draw 2. It's just free in this deck. Basically, triple Pot of Greed for this deck, so definitely run Pot of Extravagance. Alright, now we get into some more elixirs. So this is the Elixir of Black Awakening. The Elixir of Black Awakening is probably the best elixir. It allows you to special summon straight from your hand or from your deck. And basically, same with the other elixir, it has a graveyard effect where you can use its secondary effect to banish it, and then you can set a Golden Land spell trap directly from the deck. And just like with the other one, you can't use both effects on the same turn, but it really does help you set up. And there are some instances where, if you have a Golden Lord and this in hand, sometimes it's more worth it just to send this to the grave for the graveyard effect. But it can be useful also in helping you get Golden Lord and Doom King out turn 1. Elixir of Black Awakening is really, really good. It's probably your second best play starter other than Unizombie. So yeah, this should be run at 3 for sure. Just adds too much consistency. Next, we have Triple Cursed Eldland. So this is your searcher for the deck. Cursed Eldland allows you to, when you play it, it allows you to search out either the Golden Lord himself or a Golden Land spell trap, and add them to your hand, and it is a continuous spell. You pay 800 life points every turn. It's kind of like Cleafort Scout. It is really, really good. Like, it also just, further boosts the consistency of this deck, and that's what I think is the best thing about this deck. It's a control deck with much more consistency than pretty much any other control deck. And it also has the ability to play second a lot better, I feel like, than something like, Altergeist or Guru. This card also has a secondary effect where if it leaves the field, you can send a Golden Land spell trap directly from your deck to the graveyard, and then you can use that graveyard ability in the end phase to send an to set an Elixir directly from your deck. And so that's what makes this card kind of ridiculous, is that like when it resolves, you're gonna plus no matter what. And Cursed Eldland is really, really good. Now, I'm running triple Imperm. You don't have to do this. It's not like mandatory in the deck. Personally, what I find better than Imperm is Solemn Judgments. I just don't have them at the moment. I've ordered them, so I'm just kind of waiting for them to get here. I think I would run the Solemns before I ran the Imperms. But in the meantime, Imperm will do, just generic monster effect negator, just, for the control game. No, I only run one Guardian. I think it's probably like the worst of the Golden Land spells and traps. But basically, you can use it to set a monster's attack to 0. What's kind of cool about it, though, is it doesn't target. None of the Golden Land's trap cards actually target, so cards that can't be targeted are still affected. So, like, you can use this against something like Chaos Max Dragon, set its attack to 0, and then that card's just shit out of luck because it's permanent. So it does have some actually pretty decent use, but most of the time I'll send it to the graveyard to kind of plus off it and set an Elixir from my deck. This deck has just so much recursion, it's insane. Alright, now here's where some people are going to think I'm a little crazy, but I run the triple Golden Lands Forever, and that's the Omni Negate for the deck, and that is something that zombies have sorely, sorely needed. We needed a searchable Omni Negate, and that, I think, is what pushes this deck to being much more competitive than it used to be. So this can be searched off your elixirs in the grave. You almost always on turn 1 want to end with a Golden Land Forever set, because Lightning Storm is a card, and Evenly Matched is a card, and this is the card that will let you survive through those things. The only way they're going to get you with those is if they have double. Like, I've never actually been hit with them if I have this set on turn 1, and that is my main goal with turn 1, is making sure I have a way to set this card, because it's just a searchable Omni Negate, negates anything. It's really good. I know a lot of people don't run it at 3, but in my opinion, it is one of the best cards in the deck, so it should be run at 3. And next, since we are running Zombie World, we're going to run Triple Rivalry because we want to see this card. This card is the only real Floodgate that we run, but combined with Zombie World, it locks your opponent out of summoning anything unless it's a zombie. It's still one of the most broken locks in the game. I think that if you're going to run a Lich, and you're thinking of a Floodgate, Summon Limit is good, I don't think there can be only one is all that wonderful. I think Rivalry is the best, especially in the Zombie World build. In the Zombie World build, you should definitely run Rivalry. It's just that good. It'll basically just lock them out of summoning. And most of the time, if you resolve Rivalry in Zombie World, you'll just win the game. So, you should definitely play Rivalry. You want to see this card in your opening hand. Alright, now next, I run Double Wakero. And that card is kind of like the DD Crow of the deck. If Golden Lord is on the field, you can activate it. That will banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. And then when it does go to the grave, you can banish it from the grave to set an Elixir directly from your deck. A lot of I don't use it a lot, but it does come up sometimes, especially in the mirror matches. This card is like the MVP, because if they send their Golden Lord to the grave, you can just activate this and banish their Golden Lord. and like that is really really good. Or if they send like a Destiny Hero Malicious or something, you can get rid of it with Wakero. And so it does have some niche use. The next, this is probably one of the best cards in the deck as well, is Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This card basically, it's like Elixir of Black Awakening, but it's the trap card form. So it allows you to special summon directly from your deck, but you can do it on their turn. So a lot of the time what I'll do with Unizombie is I'll make sure I have a way to get Eldlich to hand. I'll use Unizombie's effect to send Eldlich to the grave, use Eldlich's graveyard effect to send a trap, so I can and then special summon him. So I'll have Eldlich in the field, then I will send Necroworld Banshee to the grave, get Zombie World. Next, and then if I have this set, I can just get out Doom King right away, which is really, really nice. Or you can also use it to, if they get rid of your Golden Lord, like if they kaiju it or something, you can just Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine it right back onto the field. So it helps you protect your Golden Lord as well. A lot of the time I'll just kind of, at least with, the first turn, I'll use it to get Doom King on board, because Doom King is double disruption, so, in a control deck, I find that is very, very powerful to have him on board. Alright, last for the main deck, we run Triple Conquistador, because this card is pretty damn good. It pops cards on the field, and it's searchable, and it searches out your elixirs, and that's why I would run this over something like Shiranui style Swallow Slash. It's just flat out better, in my opinion. It's non-targeting destruction, but it's any card, so this is the card that just wrecks Mystic Mine if they try to play it on you, or just any really annoying card that is hard to deal with. This card will get rid of it. And the fact that it pluses your back row when it goes to the grave, I think makes it better than Swallow Slash. The thing with Swallow Slash is it kind of takes garnets in your deck to make it work. I just, nothing really hurts worse than drawing Spirit Master in your opening hand, so I think Conquistador is just better. So that's it for the main deck. To be honest, guys, the extra deck really doesn't matter, so my extra deck isn't amazing for this. But I'll show you what I have so far, just because some of the cards I've ordered, aren't here yet. But Triple Vampire Sucker, Double Nightmare Phoenix. If I could run this at 3, and this I would. I just don't have a third copy. Double Nightmare Unicorn. Probably in the future, what I would do is replace the unicorns. I would get the level 5 XYZ Constellar Pleiades, because it just bounces cards and then you can just OTK easier. Also, I only have one of the Super Dreadnought right now, but I would run that at 3, and then the XYZ card at 3, that it can, rank up into, because that card gets real big real fast. I also run Triple Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon, just because I side deck Super Poly sometimes. And Super Poly with Zombie World, as you guys know, is still ridiculous. But I side deck it because I don't think it's as important to break boards with this deck. But, going second, for sure, it saves you. And really the rest of this extra deck is kind of just generic, so it doesn't really matter too much, but, Alright, for the side deck, Triple Nibiru, going against combo heavy decks like Adamantipator, that card saves lives because the deck has a rough matchup against that. 1 Dino Wrestler Pankratops because it's limited to 1. 2 Gamma Seal just helps you get rid of problem cards. That's going to be really nice, especially with Dragoon, being confirmed to be coming to the TCG. And in that same vein, we also side the Triple Super Poly, because, again, things against Dragoon, you're going to need it. The most underrated zombie card is triple Necronize. It's basically triple mind control for the deck. As long as there's a level 5 or higher zombie, there will always be a level 5 or higher zombie. So this is a better mind control because it allows you to attack with your opponent's monster and you contribute it, unlike with mind control. Then we have triple Twin Twisters, just for other back row decks. You can run Lightning Storm if you want. I don't think it's needed, but anyway, guys, that covers it for the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is my version of Eldlich. This is what I've been seeing a lot of success